All right, everybody. Academic word list 4. How are we going? Tommy, try number 1.
It's obvious that Roger is unhappy about something. He's been walking around looking depressed all day.
Sounds good. Nicole.
After analyzing the available data, we decided to modify the original parameters of the spreadsheet to accumulate more information.
Yeah, parameters. And that's the right pronunciation too. Not parameters, parameters. The ra, second syllable gets the stress. Per, remember schwa for the first unstressed syllable. Parameters. Yeah, good. Alex.
Canada's population is projected to rise to 35 million over the next couple of years.
Sounds good. Thank you. Lynn.
Norbert Schmidt observes that second language learners need to concentrate their effort on learning the most useful words in the language.
That's it. Good. That's why we did the academic word list. Hannah. Number 5.
Number 5. The United
States.
Undertook.
Not undertook. Means like to give. Granted.
Granted the Philippines complete independence in 1946.
Good, thank you. Yes, granted gave. Wasn't that nice of them? Gave them independence. James.
In general, immigrants work very hard to integrate themselves into the society of their new homeland.
That's it. Integrate. Yeah. So connect with the totality. Wally, there's a spare there. No, I just pointed to the sheet.
Oh.
Spare. Yes, that's it. Good. Nancy. Chances.
of promotion by taking some courses in person management.
Good, that's right. Undertook. Now, that second to last word, how do we pronounce it?
Personnel.
That's it, personnel. Right, and that's what makes it different from personal. Yeah.
What's the
So,
difference?
okay, the meaning, personnel is like human resources, staff. When you're referring to staff in a company, the personnel. And then, oh, I have a personal problem, personal. Hear the difference? So, personal, like individual, first syllable stress, personal. This one, personnel, last syllable stress. Notice the spelling also. I sometimes still have problems with this. Is it the double N or does it have a double L? Yeah, it's the double N that you've got to remember. Now, I think I've got it now, but the way I got that, and this is key, a number of people here, you've got spelling problems. We've talked already about one spelling strategy, which was auditory memory. Remember, the spelling pronunciation. I think we talked about it in this room. Another strategy, an important one, it's useful. Personnel. All right. Now, having marked many, many high school essays where this is spelt wrongly, you know, and I got it wrong too. It's a native speaker problem. Double letters are often problems. How are you going to remember it? Well, the way I simply remember it is you go to HR, the human resources, to TAFE here, and you say, can you make me permanent? And they say, no. And then you go and you say, you know, can I have some time off? And they say, no. That's two N's, isn't it? No, no. Right? That's how I remember that. You see the strategy though? You make up a little story that's about that word, and then you won't forget it. And when I did that a few years ago, thank you HR, I remembered it. And that's one of the best ways to deal with spelling issues, especially like double letters. You know, if it was double L, I'd have to make up some other little story, which would be quite different. All right? We'll practice this as we encounter other examples, but for me anyway, that along with the auditory memory, separate pronunciation, those two factors are probably the biggest in helping correct spelling. You can try to do that by simply writing out personnel 47 times, but it's pretty inefficient. 6 months later, you'll be back misspelling it because you haven't got a little story. If you've got a story, you can remember that 2 years later. Stories stick in the human mind much better than just repetition, repetition, repetition. So, yeah, we'll talk more about memorisation strategies later, but as they come up, we'll introduce them. There's one. Okay, 8, Lita.
Despite the public's fears, statistics show that the crime rate has actually dropped over the last 20 years.
Good, thank you. Statistics, hard word to say, even for some natives. Statistics. Kate.
Computer chat rooms have added on 4 new dimensions to the dating process.
That's it, dimension. Whole new dimension, collocation. Sadia.
Many psychologists believe that we form our attitudes and opinions of ourselves by observing our own behavior.
Our own behaviour, yeah.
John, could you please
Yep.
explain to me what is the difference between diminution and parameters?
Parameters, yeah, because
Both of them using with
yeah, we couldn't,
and
okay,
spreadsheet.
yeah, dimension is like element here. I mean, often, okay, when you ask about a word, it's often in any language, many words have both, and we've done this before, literal meaning and metaphorical meaning. And it's good, if you're not clear about 2 words, it's good to explore, do they both have literal meanings? Do they both have metaphorical, you know? And sometimes they've got similar literal meaning but different metaphorical, you know. I just introduced that strategy because it can help you clarify things. So in this case, I think it can. Dimension, the literal meaning is physical, isn't it? So length, breadth, height, those are your dimensions. Time also. Parameters doesn't really have a literal meaning, it's very abstract. The parameters are like the boundaries, right, of like a framework of a project or a thinking task or a model, thinking model. So where's the parameter one? The spreadsheet, yeah. So which things are we going to think about? Which things are we going to measure in the spreadsheet? You might only be measuring, say, in a company, wages, hours worked, sick days. However, you might expand the parameters to include insurance claims, length of service, you know, you're expanding the parameters, right? So in other words, it's sort of like dimensions in the sense, it's like the width, but of the things considered. So the parameters are like the edge, and how wide is your edge, and the things you include inside. Dimensions are either physical, so dimensions can be physical. On a metaphorical level, dimensions are like elements, like variables or factors or elements. So a whole new dimension, a whole new element, a whole new factor to the dating process. Feature, yeah. Characteristic, that's right. You think of it like that. Can you see?
Is one of the units, is it?
One of the...
Units.
The person keep on forgetting.
Oh, no.
No,
It's a spelling.
dimension, different word.
Oh,
Yeah.
dimension and
Let's have a look at them because it will help you. Maybe, again, knowing roots will help you.
it's not a different things.
I'll keep that in the singular. Look, dimension, this is length, breadth, height. This one. Ments means to measure. mensuration, commensurate, commensurable, to measure. Dementia, ment, means mind. Think of words like mental, right? Or somebody who helps educate you in a job or whatever. A mentor, somebody. It is similar. But look here. Die, even the prefix, to. This is D, isn't it? Or D pronunciation. What's this mean?
D means negative, so
Negative, undo, reverse. So you have a mind and you lose it. You're losing parts, you're decreasing the mind, capacity of the mind. So can you see they're quite different? And I think if you do split these things up and you have a good understanding of the meaning of the building blocks, it'll cement it more in your memory as well. This is one of the advantages of approaching words like this. Now, just on pronunciation, it's pretty good pronunciation. I think there are about 7 errors that I corrected. What's the category of error I corrected the most? Overwhelmingly. What did I correct? Right. Isn't it? Mostly really simple. Plurals of uncountable nouns. So people are just, I don't know, you have to ask yourself, why? Is it you're forgetting it and it's written right there in front of you, but you're not saying it? Is your habit of not doing it kind of overriding what your eyes are seeing? Or what? I don't know. Or are you saying it, you think you're saying it and it's not coming out enough? So you have to put more aspiration, more breath. Like, if you don't blow, you get nothing, do you? So, you got to blow to get that. So it could be a physical thing, or it could be more of a psychological thing. You've got to figure it out. But that is the problem, and it's invariably, doesn't matter which diploma class you go to, that's your dominant
But seems
error.
be I did say, but you when you correct me, identify I didn't say it, but in my mind I already say it. Maybe
Right.
I haven't got that much sound.
Yeah, right. So that would suggest it's a physical thing. If you are thinking you're saying it, but it's not coming, then that's a physical thing. And you have to concentrate on...
shorter.
No, it's a matter of, like, dimensions. Dimension, it's a zzz. Often remember that it's a voice. Zzz, isn't it? Okay, well, yeah, good. Self-analyse and figure out what it is so that you can try to correct that. All right. Any other comments about the test itself? Still fairly easy, I think. Once we get up to sort of number 7 or so, it gets a little trickier. So that's...
I'm just confused between
I'm just confused.
I'm confused about project and grant. Projected to make projections.
Yeah, this is a projector.
Yes.
Let's have a look at this word. Again, I think it can help you understand a word if we dig into its roots. Eject, to throw. Dead pen, I reject it, in the bin. You sit in a seat and you press the button, eject, it throws you, doesn't it? Even words like jet as well, jet and jet. A jet of water, a jet through the air. It's all about throwing. Okay, pro, we know, we've talked about that one a lot, forwards. Throwing forwards. So that thing throws light forwards, doesn't it? Projector. Here, so that's physical, literal. Here, metaphorical. Which one is it? Number 3. Canada's population is projected, so people are throwing their guesses, their calculations into the future, isn't it? It's about prediction. So it means prediction here. Very similar meaning, but can you see how the metaphor is working to produce the same meaning? It's throwing your estimate forward into the future. Yeah. So it's often used for prediction. And the other one was?
Granted means guarantee. Granted.
When you grant, you give. You permission.
Permission.
Yeah. Okay, you don't, I don't say, oh, you tell me it's your birthday, I'm going to grant you a nice new Australian novel. You give. So it's not a physical thing. Grant means like give permission, give power, give capacity. Visa, yeah, that's right. So, that's right. I mean, visas are about permission, aren't they? So it's about, yeah, giving people the capacity or rights or whatever.
Why not? I answered this question yesterday. Sometimes I put 100%. Sometimes
Yeah.
I put 80%.
Sure.
Sometimes 70%. So
Yeah.
the same category.
Uh-huh.
Category.
Yeah.
Category. Yeah.
I guess it just, depends on the context,
Yeah.
the sentences, how difficult, how much you understand the rest of the sentence.
I will-
Possibly the part of speech, if it changes into the noun form, it can be a bit harder to. So yeah, all that, I think that's pretty normal, that with change of part of speech of these words, plus change of sentence context, you can go up and down with the success rate a bit. But that's just part of the practice and processing. Yeah. Good exercise, good gymnastics, building those vocabulary muscles. Very good. That's good to hear. Next Monday, we will bring along please your essay in electronic form. Not to give to me, but I'll show you on the computer how you can put your essay into a few websites and you can ask it some interesting questions like, how many academic words am I using? From your second academic word list. Alright, now your target, if you're writing, the target for the average academic essay is 8 to 10%. So, academic word list. So, if you open up the average journal and you put the average journal through this, you get that kind of range. So, it'll be interesting to see on Monday. Are you sitting at 5, 6, 12? Some people get some pretty good scores there. And the other thing it will do, it will analyse your vocabulary in terms of the up to 20,000. So there are all your bands of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, etc. It'll say what percent of your essay is coming from the first 1,000. Usually it's around 80%. And then percent. What percent are you using of less frequent words? Obviously someone with a good vocabulary it's always a curve, but at least they have some in there, If you've got lower vocabulary, you can go like that and sort of drop off by 6 or 7,000, It just really depends, You might get something like that and 1 or 2 in there. But it's just an interesting exercise. It's like a little mirror. Some of us like looking in mirrors, some of us don't. But, you can throw it in and see what happens. See if you like the look. If you don't like the look, we'll talk about how do you put on a bit of makeup and change it so that it looks better. Because there are ways, once you do know this, if you do have too many words here, we can identify which words they are, and through using things like the activator, remember, as you go down the list in the activator, you get less frequent words, don't you? You're getting here, so you could look up a few words and say, right, I want a more interesting word, and with the activator or the thesaurus or other resources, get one that sits there, etc. So you're just extending your vocabulary out a bit, but this will give you a kind of mathematical objective model, I guess, to do that with, instead of just sort of thinking, oh yeah, maybe this word, maybe that. It will just actually tell you what you're doing, what you can do, what you need to do. So we're at that stage now where you've pretty much got your first draft done, so we can start analysing it with these things. We'll also look at readability level. That means how easy is your essay to read. And what you want is something that's not too easy to read, not something that's too hard. And again, there are websites where you can throw any text in there, but especially your own text, and get some assessment of readability level. We'll talk about what those benchmarks are, sort of what you should be aiming at. So, we'll do that Monday.
John, do you know any website that I can check my plagiarism, because I'm not sure I'm doing enough paraphrasing.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'd like to check my
There are quite a lot. Plagiarismchecker.com, I mean the simple student ones where students can check their own. That's a pretty big one. I mean if you just Google plagiarism checker, you get a lot of different ones. And certainly if they say, oh, you've got to pay, don't worry about it, because just try another one. There are lots out there.
And how much percentage should I aim at? Like 10% is okay, do you think, or 20%?
Of what?
For plagiarism, I mean...
Zero.
Okay.
You've got to have zero plagiarism. You can have direct cut and paste,
Yeah.
and then you have quotation marks around it.
Put,
But we've talked about what that figure is. What's that figure of direct quotations in an essay? I've mentioned it a few times. Less than 5% of your essay should be direct quotations. The rest has to be your words.
But they also put
their
references
ideas.
in the context of copy.
What's that?
The references, like intake references, like you said, the name of the author and the date and all of this.
Yeah.
The year. When you put intake or like reference list, they also put that as a copy. Even if you do it yourself, there's
That's
a
right,
copy.
absolutely. Even if you put it into your own words, it's their ideas, isn't it? So you've got
No, not the idea, just
What
the
do
names
you
of
mean,
the
the
authors
reference?
and all of those stuff.
I'm sorry, to
The
what?
name of the authors.
Yeah,
You know, you put the name of the author in
Yes.
in text,
Yes.
typing.
yeah.
Then they are also highlighted in there. Because I have done in uni, so
Highlighted in this sort of thing.
no, not in there. Plagiarism and you cannot turn it in that you were talking about, you know, check
Oh,
it
yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you mean take your in-text references out
Yeah.
first? Probably a good idea. Yeah, because then you're actually looking at your
No,
text.
if you put the whole essay, they will say that your intake references are being copied, your reference list is being copied.
Okay.
Because that's not your stuff, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
The names
yeah,
and all of
the
these
names
things
are
are
not.
copied
Yeah,
from the.
yeah, that's what I mean. Take them out before you put it through that. That will eliminate that problem. Yes.
Because I had, because while doing essays in school, I had like 8% of copied, but that was all those
Because of the
references.
references. Sure. Okay. Yeah. So put your original through without the references.
Some statistic you can't change if you take some statistic from
Yeah.
both sides.
No, you can't.
That's what the fact is saying.
Absolutely.
And they will say
Shouldn't.
that's half.
Oh, it said 48% unemployment. All right, I'll make that 13%. You can't. The government does that all the time. We know. All right. We can't. No, you can't change statistics.
Yeah, they will
So-
also come and tell
So
you.
that sort of thing. No, you can't change. There's no one saying you should change that.
So,
You change the words around that. So it says, you know, Spain has 48% unemployment. You change it to 48% of Spanish workers are without jobs. All right, so the language around it, the words you change, the figures you cannot. But your job is to change the words. Mean the same thing. Okay. Shall we do the antonym thing fairly quickly? It's just a kind of interesting little exercise. As I said, these words are important. Obviously, they're in the academic word list. They're used a lot. They've got important meanings. Probably the opposites are equally important. Or probably not equally. They'd also be in the list as well, but pretty important. Can you think of some opposites? Let's try to get the opposites that are, as the word would appear here in this context. All right, we'll split them up. Let's go. Guys, you do integrate,
Disintegrate,
undertook, undertake,
separate,
concentrate, obvious. All right, 1 minute. Then come and throw up your guesses. Have a quick chat about it. brainstorm,
Disintegrate.
and
Separate.
2 or 3,
Integrate.
if you can, would be good.
Separation. Separate.